Anyway, started to sand. Got 180 grit. Finding some high spots here. That's kind of weird feeling there. The outer portion of the fender, this upper curve seems to be good. This side here had some bubbling, and unfortunately underneath, imagine this is some sort of corrosion. Which kind of makes sense, stuff had sat on the top, so I'll need to keep sanding that down. Treat it with Ospo in here as well. Go from here on through, and the outside all feels pretty good. Worked on the cowl grill piece, and coming up on this A-pillar cover. I ordered some 320 grit adhesive back to block sand these long portions here with the outside curves. Should be here tomorrow. I'll put it on my sanding board and go at it. Not having a lot of luck with this guide coat. I think part of the problem is that it is so rough. The high build primer went on really roughly with that gun, or with my skills, and so if I knock the roughness out of it and then throw the guide coat on there, hopefully be able to see what, if any, I need to do on those panels, those long straightish ones. Well, it makes sense to me to just deal with painting the interior, in this case the dash. The doors and other places are already painted that need painting. So I'm going to focus on sanding the dash, masking off around it, and this is going to be a two-tone, and I'll pop up a picture of the color scheme that's going to be used on the dash. So I've just put the dash pad in place, kind of create a separation. Everything below the dash pad will get painted. It's actually Ford Wimbledon white with a semi-gloss eggshell clear coat over it, and then everything on top of the dash is going to be painted satin black. So I've finished the 320 grit sanding of the primer, and I'm going to do a quick pass with 600, mask off, wipe down, and then shoot the two colors. Oh yeah, and the inside of the windshield frame is the white as well, and it gets, like I said, that semi-gloss clear coat, and it will match what's already on the door tops back here. So that is the plan. This is going to be the masking for the satin black coat that's going on the top of the dash. The first light coat of satin black is down, and also got the primer laid down over top of those spots that I had done. We'll get that time to flash, and then we'll hit it with some more coats. Satin black is on and is drying. So once it is dry completely, then off will come the masking that is over the white, up in there, around in here, and then we'll mask all the I'll mask all the black off, and then shoot the Wimbledon white. Now I'm also got a little ding right in there, a little ding that happened, and I'm trying to blend it and fill it. So I thought I was being smart in putting masking tape over the white paint that I'd sprayed, but I didn't use painter's tape, and it sat too long, and there were some chips on it additionally. So all that masking came off. Everything has been sanded, Scotch-Brite, ready for a reapplication of the white. I've got the black that I shot the other day masked off, and I've exposed the lower half of the dash, which is all going to get white, as well as coming up the A pillar, and then all underneath here, actually I guess it's more in there, is going to get white as well. And then I will follow that up with some low gloss clear coat. I'm putting down Duplicolor Wimbledon white, and so it's a two-part. It's catalyzed clear coat to protect it. But that is just the standard paint. It's been on before. It didn't have any ill effects. What did have the ill effect was putting the masking tape on and leaving it on for so long. So I won't do that again. So onward and forward here. All right, still have my mask on. Basically 3 coats of Wimbledon white and 3 coats of low gloss clear. Alright, so this was the last of the interior paint that needed to go on. The next paint that goes on will be the red of the outside. Now I may have more coats of primer before then, but for now, pretty happy with this. Stinky. I'm getting a little bit through the mask. Too much talking. With all the masking tape removed, I was disappointed to see that, I don't know if you can really see it with the camera, but the painter's tape affected the black, even though I'd given it 2 days of curing before I put the tape on. It wasn't enough. So what I'll do is just hit, again you really can't see it, but I'll hit the kind of, yeah, you can see it here. Again, that was where the tape had affected the finish, and I tried wiping it down with a cloth. No avail. Yeah, it doesn't take it long to get dusty, but I'll clean that off. Once it's fully cured, I'll scuff it, and then I've got more of that satin black. And then I'll play the game of having to mask off the white or the cream, and that's unfortunate. But other than that, real happy with the progress made there. I'm not going to put the dash pad on because I know from experience that will scuff up places on the black. And while it'll be covered eventually, I'm going to wait and do it with one and do it in the end. Let the block sanding begin. Alright, so I've already sanded everything around here. This is all smooth, ready for the sealer. That's what I do. So we'll start here, work our way down, come back to here, work our way down, and then hit all of this stuff in here, in between. So I've circled some places where the block sanding is missing. I don't know if you can see it in the video here. So these are low places on this side. Not so bad on this side. Just some low places in here that don't need to get built up. Everything else sanded out well. I guess you can consider these high spots here where we've rubbed through, but gosh, I can't feel. I mean, obviously block sanding tells the tale. This is not really a fair area. It's more where it's flat. All right, we're gonna move on to a fender. Guess we'll do the one that's in the shade right now. So, moved around, got the front fender, some circles there, but for the most part that's in pretty good shape. I guess we've got a high spot there, maybe a little high there, definitely high there, but moving along here, upper part of the door is in good shape. Down here in the lower part I got some here, some there, and some there. Before I move to the quarter panel, I guess I will tackle the trunk lid. It's been a few weeks, but the LeMans is back in the driveway. Sun is shining, a bit of a breeze. Got my dust mask on, and it's time to attack the inevitable, and that is this fender. I'm already not liking what I see. There. Oh, I don't know. It doesn't look bad back here. All right, block sander out, 320 grit, and we'll sand this high build primer. Well, we've lost sunshine over here. You can kind of see the high spots. They are the dark primer, or in some cases metal that's poking through, so I'm gonna have to tap those back. Also have pencil circles around parts that didn't come smooth, so those are my low spots. You know, it could have been worse. Anyway, we're going to move on to the other side since don't have sunlight anyway. So this side, I don't know. Back here, worse than the other side. Up there, better than the other side. So, not as many high spots. A few low spots. Hard to see the pencil in there. But, and you know, down below the crease, I'll work it, but I'm less inclined to get uptight about that. All right, so all that's left is that door and that fender. So let's move over there. All right, last two panels done. A couple of low spots there, low spot there, a little high spot there. Over here, got a high spot where the screws pulled out, a couple high spots below the mirror. Expected low spot next to it. It's probably tapping down those might make that come back. And it's low spot there. Not too bad on the door, or the front fender for that matter. Oh, I do have pitting. I had some rust settle here, so a skim coat just to fill all the pits will take care of that. So I went around and kind of used some sort of sanding wheel on a die grinder and hit all the spots that were low. The attempt is to make sure I got all of the high build primer off. I'm not really sure I trust the Bondo sticking to high build primer. Most of these spots are low spots. Some of them are spots that have got pitting on them. Pretty easy to tell what spots I've been hacking on. And all the places that are going to get some body filler skim coat on have been cleaned. Additionally, I put some Osfo over on that pitting. Wasn't real happy with that. I've got the widest spatula spreader that I can find. Hopefully it's enough to go across these. So on either side, at this point, either side is a good level. So if I can get it to fill and level with what's next to it, I'm in good shape. I mean, there are some places that are going to be tricky. Down in there, not really anything to go by, but we'll see. It is really imperative that one have enough spatulas that for every batch that they mix up, they use a clean spatula, a clean paper, or else you end up with that. Not happy about that. That's where there's a tiny hardened piece of Bondo that somehow got mixed in. There's not a lot of those, but there's enough. So that was 3 applications, about a quarter, yeah, maybe not quite a quarter, but a good quarter of what was left in the can. So I'm going to mix up a small one and go around and touch up these spots, and then move on to the next little project. All right, I'm gonna knock down the high stuff on this Bondo with the DA sander, and it's about 80 grit, I guess. And then I'll go back with the board sander where we've got flat surfaces and otherwise some sort of contour on there. But yeah, flatter out convex surfaces. Where it's concave, can't use the board sander. Well, that was a lot of work. My arms are going to fall off, but everything has been sanded. In going through it, I just came up with a couple of spots that will need to have a little bit more filler put on them, mainly right in here on the rear quarter panel. That's definitely low. Also notice that in here, just a hair, a skim, and then a skim right in there. But other than that, it all sanded out pretty well. So I'm going to blow everything off, wipe down the areas that need the skim coat of filler on them, and roll it back in the garage and move on. In addition to those low spots, with the sun shining on the trunk lid, I was able to see some more, I don't want to say pocks. I was able to see some more tiny little porosity. Actually, something that's still there. I'll fill that with a body putty. Anyway, so I've hit those with what was left on the pad with the Bondo. Squeeze through there, and so I've got those to fill in, and then a little bit there, and then those 2 spots as I had pointed out before. So yeah, I've got some glazing putty that I'll get the light out and make sure that I've got all the porosity filled on this trunk lid. Also, in preparation for having the epoxy primer out and afterwards the high build primer, I've filled in the porosity that was on the glove box door. It sanded it. It's ready for wiping down, and then epoxy primer. Ashtray has got the paint stripped off of the painted part, and then I went through and have resanded these taillight housings, so they'll get both epoxy primer followed by high build primer. Yeah, with all of this, really the whole car is going to, at least the whole exterior of the car is going to need to get a coating of both epoxy primer and high build primer again, but I guess that is just part of the process. Looks like the car has a case of some sort of pox, which is interesting because I was feeling porosity, which kind of looked like pox. So that hopefully has got it all. I just went around with a bright light and tried to identify where the little voids were and filled them with glazing, compound glazing putty.